Hey everyone, Mr. Sujano here, your source for gaming, tech, emulation, and open source news. Let's get started. Alright, to kick things off, we're talking about PlayStation 1 emulation with Duckstation, and Duckstation just got a brand new update. Now it is worth noting here, Duckstation is on a rolling release schedule and gets updated quite frequently. In fact, we've got a lot of stuff here, and some of this stuff we've talked about in previous videos. Most recently, there have been some improvements to the overall UI. For example here, they've added fallback if system color scheme is unknown, fixed game list icon colors on theme change, and for the actual emulator itself, they've simplified memory card opening, and also don't create any memory cards in PSF GPU dump mode. Now it's worth noting here that this is for Duckstation PC. Duckstation on Android has not been updated yet. The latest version is May 1st, 2025. And speaking about emulator updates, next up we're shifting from Sony to Nintendo and talking about N64 emulation with RMG, or subscribe to Mr. Sujano, or Rosalies Mupen GUI, depending on how you wanted to interpret that. Anyways, RMG just got a brand new update. So at the time of filming, RMG version 0.8.1 is the latest update. And with this update, there's a bunch of fixes here and also some brand new stuff. They're migrating RMG audio and RMG input and RMG to SDL3. And interestingly here, there's a little bit of a note. Thank you Logan MC10 for the help. And for those who may not be aware, Logan MC10 is the person behind Simple 64 and Gopher 64. And this goes to show, I would say, the emulation community is all just one big happy family. Could be wrong with that one, but I don't think so. And speaking about families, or maybe dysfunctional families, next up we're switching from Sony to Nintendo to Sega. And I would say maybe that's a bit of a dysfunctional family, or maybe I'll just give up the family altogether and just say another emulator update. We're talking about Sega Model 3 emulation with Supermodel, and Supermodel just got a brand new update. Video Game Esoterica has a brand new video out showcasing this update in a lot of detail. The video is just over 10 minutes long, and I would recommend checking it out. If you're interested and wanted to learn more about it, like everything we talk about, link will be within the GitHub link in the bottom of the description below. I don't hide my sources. Overall, I would agree with Video Game Esoterica saying that this is a huge update. Things are looking better and running better, and a bunch of stuff has got fixed. And speaking about looking better and running better, and a bunch of stuff that may be getting fixed, next up we're talking about Borderlands 4 on the Nintendo Switch. And honestly, I'm not surprised about this one, but Borderlands 4 on the Switch has been delayed indefinitely. So here's the official announcement from the official Borderlands Twitter account. Greetings, Vault Hunters. We need to share that the release of Borderlands 4 on Nintendo Switch 2 is being delayed. We do not take this decision lightly, but are committed to ensuring we deliver the best possible experience to our fans. And the game needs additional development and polish time to do that. I would argue also on PC. Now, without getting too sidetracked, we'll touch on that in just a second. They go on to say here, our hope is to also better align this release with the addition of cross-saves, which we are working on and recognize is very important. We will update you all on the new release timing once we've fully adjusted our plans. And this is big here. In accordance with Nintendo's policy, all digital pre-orders to date will be canceled. Customers can initiate that process themselves now, or it will happen automatically starting on Friday, September 26th. So getting back to what I was talking about before about me not really being surprised about this. Borderlands 4 has arguably come under a bit of fire for its lack of optimization. And Randy Pitchford has arguably made some pretty controversial comments online, or maybe has had some hot takes. Anyways here, the fact that it's not working on the Nintendo Switch in the way they want is, to me, not at all surprising. Now, I'm speculating here, and I could be wrong about this one, but I'm assuming that the Borderlands team knew about this one well in advance. But they delayed the announcement about the delay on the Switch 2 to try to not affect sales of Borderlands 4 elsewhere, and also to possibly reduce the overall controversy. But I don't know here, let me know your thoughts. Do you think the Borderlands team knew in advance that the Switch 2 version was problematic? Or do you think they just figured it out and figured out they couldn't find a way to make it happen? And speaking about making stuff happen, next up we're talking about Silent Hill F on Android. And someone has posted footage of Silent Hill F up and running on an Odin 2 Pro with a Snapdragon 8 Gen 2 using GameHub 5.1.0. The overall performance here, I would say, is not great. It goes down to like 4 frames per second in some cases. But at the same time, still impressive that it's working. Now, I'm not going to lie here. I'm waiting for people to say that this is completely playable, even though we're dangerously close to frame per second. Either way, aside from the performance and the slow performance, I would say the graphics are rendering very well and the game looks good. Is it performing? No, but at the same time, maybe it will in the future. I really don't know. Next up, we're switching from Silent Hill to Resident Evil and talking about Resident Evil Requiem. And if you're in the UK, it seems that pre-orders are starting to pop up. Now, I find a couple of things interesting here. First and foremost, the Switch 2 version does seem to be the cheapest by a significant margin. And secondly, the prices are kind of all over the place. Smith's seems to be the most expensive, followed by HMV, and the cheapest place to get them is Amazon. Amazon has Resident Evil Requiem for the PS5 and Xbox at £54 and the Switch 2 version at $49. And speaking about arguably cool stuff, next up here we're talking about a brand new game in development between Kojima Productions and Niantic. Niantic, you may know, is behind stuff like Pokemon Go. It's a brand new AR game. Now, unfortunately, I don't have full details as to when this game is going to release and what exactly it's going to entail. From my understanding, it will be Death Stranding themed. In the description of this video, it says Kojima Productions and Niantic Spatial team up to redefine immersive entertainment. I will say I'm liking the outdoors theme. And speaking about heads ups about stuff, next up we're talking about Sony. And Sony is having a state of play on Wednesday, September 24th, which at the time of filming is today. And it will be at 5 p.m. Eastern Time. The showcase is said to be over 35 minutes long, and unfortunately I don't have the full lineup here, but a lot of people are assuming Resident Evil Requiem will be a part of it. Let me know your speculations in the comments below, and more than likely we're going to talk at least about something that was revealed during this thing tomorrow. And speaking about reveals, next up here we're talking about Yakuza, and Yakuza Kiwami 3 has been revealed at the Tokyo Game Show 2025. But that is not all. Yakuza 3 Dark Ties has also been revealed. From my understanding here, both of these games are releasing the exact same day on February 12th, 2026. So Yakuza Kiwami 3 here is a remake of the 2009 game, and Dark Ties is a brand new game. I'm not going to lie here, I was kind of surprised about this announcement, and I'm not complaining. I'm really curious to see more gameplay as time goes on. And speaking about playing games, next up we're talking about the brand new Brawler64 Pro, which is an N64 wireless controller from Retro Fighters. The Kickstarter has launched and has already smashed its goal. It's basically double its goal at this point. Now, it is worth noting the wireless part about this gamepad is 2.4G, not Bluetooth. But pricing here starts at about $63, which I guess is 10% off of the MSRP of $70. And speaking about prices of things, next up we're going from a price to no price, and we're talking about Kali Linux. And Kali Linux just released 2025.3. Now, although Kali has a pretty cool name, a pretty cool logo, and a pretty cool premise, I wouldn't necessarily recommend this for daily use. This is a very specific distro. If you know what pen testing is, you may know about Kali. If you don't know what pen testing is, Kali probably is not something that would be up your alley. Anyways, here, this is an interesting release. It's got a bunch of updates, a bunch of new stuff, but does impact some certain pieces of hardware. So Kali Linux is Debian based, and taking a look here, it appears the Raspberry Pi 1, the original Raspberry Pi, the Pi Zero W, and the Odroid W will no longer be supported by Kali, or Kali will no longer work on those devices with this update. But with that being said, I would say this is a really interesting update overall with some cool features, like the configurable VPN IP panel plugin. This has been revamped for even more options. And speaking about more options, next up here we're talking about more options, and maybe not in a good way, I guess, depending on how you wanted to look at the situation. But I think in yesterday's video we talked about Microsoft Copilot for gaming. If you're on Android, Google is having their own version of this called Play Game Sidekick. Now, based on my understanding, this feature will be rolling out over the next number of months for Android users, and I'm kind of curious to see how this is received overall and how it's utilized. Personally, I have no use for something like this, and I'd rather it not eat at my CPU allocation. Anyways here, let me know your thoughts. And speaking about upcoming stuff in Android, next up here we're talking about something I would say is pretty exciting depending on how you wanted to look at it. But anyways here, we've talked about this in the past with Chrome OS arguably going the way of the dodo. And now it's been confirmed that Google and Qualcomm are working on a joint project. So here's a quote from Google's head of platforms and devices. In the past, we've always had very different systems between what we're building on PCs and what we're building on smartphones. And we've embarked on a project to combine that. We, Google and Qualcomm, are building together a common technical foundation for our products on PCs and desktop computing systems. They go on to say here, I think that this is another way in which Android is going to be able to serve everyone in every computing category. And I would agree with that in some aspects, and I would disagree with that in other aspects. First and foremost, if they're able to emulate Windows on Android very well, then yeah, this could really make some positive impacts. However, if they continue to go down the path of making sideloading APKs more difficult, absolutely not. This is not going to serve everyone. But anyways, without opening that can of worms even further here, no surprise Qualcomm is very excited about this partnership and they think it's incredible. Yeah, they have a vested interest. Either way, I am very curious to see what happens because of this partnership, and I'm looking forward to it. Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. And speaking about Android and looking forward to stuff, next up here we're talking about a new game on Android that has my attention. It's called Seoul Exorcist 1111 or 1111. It's currently 50% off and it just launched. Now, I haven't seen many reviews for this one yet, but taking a look at the trailer, and I think it does look pretty interesting. It's got a very interesting combat system, a very interesting premise. And this may be one I end up checking out. If you've played this, if you've tried it, let me know your thoughts about it in the comments below. And speaking about games on Android, next up we're talking about Hollow Knight Silksong. Now, we've talked about this in the past where there seem to be people working on porting Hollow Knight Silksong unofficially to Android, and it does seem as if significant progress has been made. There's a brand new video on YouTube here titled A Small Hollow Knight Silksong Android Test, and things look to be running very well. If you're interested, again, like everything we talk about, link will be in the description below at the bottom. And speaking about unofficial ports to other systems, next up here we're talking about OutRun Amiga Edition. And version 0.9.2 has just been released. This one is up on itch.io, and there's some brand new features here that weren't in the arcade version. Rolling stop, gradually come to a stop when the timer expires, as requested in the comments here on itch. Turbo speed is boosted by around 50 kilometers an hour. Off-road tires drive off-road with no slowdown. Grippy tires, very easy cornering. And bumper cars smash into other traffic with less impact. On top of that, they've introduced high score saving. There's some bug fixes and even more. Again, if you're interested and wanted to learn more about it, like everything we talk about, link will be within the GitHub link in the bottom of the description below. And speaking about mods, last up here we're talking about Grand Theft Auto 5. If you're a fan of GTA 5 RP, you might be excited with this announcement. nopixel says nopixel 5 is the next evolution of GTA 5 roleplay experience created in collaboration with Rockstar Games. Coming soon to the Rockstar Games launcher and other PC platforms. And stay tuned for more information. Unfortunately, I don't have more news for you other than the fact that they're saying that invites start now on nopixel.net. And this is officially supported from Rockstar. But anyways, that is all I've got for you in this one. Straight to the point, all stuff and no fluff. We talked about a bunch today. Feel free to discuss anything we talked about in the comments below. If you like this video, leave a like. If you didn't like this video, leave a like. Hit that subscribe button, check out my other videos. Don't tempt fate, save your state.